Welcome to my Research e-conference presentation. This is Online Q&A Sites presented by Joe Sass from English 673. You might be wondering what an online Q&A site is. My research focused on question and answer websites. These are websites that users access to post questions for others to answer. As a user of these sites, you can have three different roles: question asker, question answerer, and viewer, or someone who simply browses the sites for information. Some examples of these sites are Yahoo Answers by Yahoo, Quora, Google Answers by Google, Stack Overflow, which is part of the Stack Exchange network, and Experts Exchange. Those last two, Stack Overflow and Experts Exchange, are more technical than the other sites. Some common features of these sites are categorization of the questions or themes of the sites themselves for specific topics such as software programming. They all have social aspects such as a profile, an avatar or picture, and a reputation score. Some sites feature experts who are experts on their fields answering questions rather than a typical, regular, everyday user, and incentives for people to answer questions. So why did I want to study Q&A sites? Well, I use them daily both for work and to satisfy personal curiosities, despite the fact that I've never actually posted a question or answered one. Yet something still draws me to them. What is it? Also, Q&A sites are a relatively new phenomenon. Similar to Wikipedia, they're a living, evolving source of information, but they bring a new, interesting social dynamic to the web. Finally, there's also a lot of money to be made in these sites. Quora was valued at $86 million. So I figured if I studied the features of the most successful sites, perhaps I could build my own perfect site, combining all of these features. My research focused on three specific questions. What are the features of a successful question and answering site, or Q&A site? What are the characteristics of the questions that are answered most often and receive the most helpful and conclusive answers? And finally, what prompts an expert, or anyone for that matter, to participate in an online Q&A site and help others for little to no reward? My research methodology consisted of the following types. First, I reviewed previous studies and articles using the web from the MNSU Library Research site. I also analyzed existing question and answer sites. Finally, I didn't actually do these, but I designed the studies themselves. I wanted to survey users to find out how they used sites. I wanted to do some ethnographic research to specifically study a single user. I designed an experiment to see what types of incentives work best on users. And finally, if I were to design my own Q&A site, I would use focus groups to figure out which features worked best and what to include in the site. So here's what I found in my research. Some particularly effective site features are organization. Well-organized sites allow users to find information more quickly and consistently. Topic-specific sites allow specialization and better community building. And finally, a well-designed site will have fewer of the same question because it's easier to find questions and they're not repeated, which will yield more diversity in the types of questions. The social aspects of these sites are important in their success. Community plays a critical role in the establishment and ongoing success of a question and answering site. Sites take on the personality of their users. This is important in drawing like-minded and like-interested users. Users must be committed to the site's success, since the users are responsible for the content. Without them, the site is empty and will fail. Q&A sites often must compete to establish their value. By charging users to use some sites, there's a cost-value correlation. Users feel invested and are therefore more likely to participate in sites. Sites like Yahoo Answers, perhaps, have a reputation of low-quality content. Therefore, sites must fight this negative stigma to win users. I wouldn't want to post on a site that I feel is low quality. And finally, sites must establish an aura of value and quality. Regarding the questions themselves, beginner-level questions are easier to answer for experts, and therefore are more likely to be answered with higher quality. Subjective questions, though they're interesting, did not always yield the quality of answer expected by users. More interesting and open-ended questions yield higher amounts of response, though these may not always be the most high-quality responses. Finally, a look at the answerer motivations. Higher satisfaction in users results in higher participation. According to Rune, reputation systems, where users provide feedback on the quality of the articles they read, provide a powerful incentive to improve the quality of the articles and help users avoid articles that are of low quality. Reputation systems can be used as both an incentive and a method of identifying key experts who can be further incentivized to post more content. Question askers are willing to pay to have their questions answered. But, in an interesting paradox, financial incentives, although they lead to a larger quantity of answers, these answers may not always be of better quality. And finally, some conclusions to this presentation. So, what can I do with these findings? Well, I know what a well-designed Q&A site looks like, and I know how to incentivize question answerers. So, I think I could design a well-designed Q&A site that gets people to answer questions. However, I didn't look at how to attract question askers or how to get quality content. So, my site would not quite have as many questions asked as I would like, or I potentially wouldn't have as high quality of content as I would like. So these are both areas of further study that would be great to look at. I did run into some problems while doing my research. Initially, I had trouble locating resources. Next, I had trouble locating quality resources. The searches that I was using weren't quite yielding the resources that I liked. However, eventually I found a good source that cited several other sources, and I was able to branch out from there. Finally, the applicability of the current studies that I was looking at were a little bit of a stretch for my specific research questions. Now, if I were to take things to the next step, I would study question askers, I would survey users using the survey that I designed during this course, and I would also use the experiment that I designed during this course, which looked at different levels of incentives for question answerers. This would help me answer my research questions and take my research a step further. That does it for my presentation. Thanks for taking the time to listen to it.